All right, so we had LS first victory as a head coach of Cloud9, and I didn't expect this I didn't expect to say this in 2022, but basically I'm gonna watch the LCS, and not only just for Cloud9, but also I want to see the different approach that the top teams have. I want to see TSM, I want to see 100 Thieves who kept the same roster. But yeah, I decided to make a review of the Cloud9 win because first of all, it was the fastest. Second, we saw some different things, and that's what I always look when I watch the main regions. I always try to see different things. I don't want to see the same things, like the same strategies going over from teams, the same drafts. So I want to see how LS would be able to affect this Cloud9 roster, of course in a positive way. And before we get into the game and the draft, I wanted to also say something that I forgot to say on my predictions when I made the region predictions, was that whether Cloud9 fails or not, whether they achieve their goals for this split or not, I think that they should keep the same roster and they should keep LS for all season. Because whether he has good or bad ideas, whether he can implement his ideas or not, it takes time for a team to completely change their identity and, find a synergy between their head coach ideas with their main roster. So whether this project fails or not, I would like to see it for the whole season. But the first game was very good, very excited, very dominant win from Cloud9, and let's start from the draft. So GG started, I'm not gonna comment on bans a lot, at least on the first phase. I don't like the TF ban, being thrown every region. I know that on competitive, TF is considered like a quote-unquote broken champion, but this happens only if it succeeds. We have seen many times, and I have criticized, for example, T1 for going with the TF Jace strategy or the Rise Jace strategy, and they have failed many times. So the thing is, for me, it's like a 50-50. The validity of TF as a pick is a 50-50. If the early game goes well, if everything that they try in the early game succeed, then yes, it's a broken pick. If not, it becomes kind of a useless pick. So the fact that these teams are just targeting TF bans because the main regions do that finds me on a disagreement side. Anyway, so they first picked Yuumi. Now, on competitive, we have seen Yuumi being matched well with Jhin. We haven't seen a lot of Yuumi with either AD carries in this meta. So the fact that Golden Guardians decided to B1 Yuumi and leave Jhin open for Cloud9 was a mistake for me, was a draft mistake. Because here, Cloud9 could easily deny them Jhin, like they could easily pick Jhin with Leona or Jhin with Gwen in this instance and deny Jhin from Golden Guardians because again, Yuumi is mostly picked with Jhin in competitive in this meta. So that was their first mistake in draft, like blind picking Yuumi without waiting for B2 and B3 to pick it with Jhin at the same time. So Cloud9 they didn't care to basically deny them the Jhin because they had prepared their own draft. So they went with Gwen and Aphelios. And the thing with Gwen is that at this point is considered a flex pick. Another thing that we should take into consideration in this type of drafts is that apart from the draft itself, we always have to compare blue versus red side. So as you know, red side has always the advantage of basically counter picking the solo lanes, and especially so in order to basically make the blue side relevant or strong is when you basically pick, like when you first pick strong champions that can be flexed pick. So instead of Golden Guardians doing something like that, instead of Golden Guardians picking a strong flex pick on B1 and then going with Yuumi and Jhin on B2 and B3, they basically let Cloud9 do that. So basically Cloud9, They started with Gwen, a very strong flex pick at this point for both top and jungle. And so immediately Cloud9, they have the advantage of counter picking Golden Guardians in solo lanes, and they also flex picked Gwen, which makes things more difficult for Golden Guardians for the rest of the draft. And then we have, of course, we have the Jhin and the Victor like as a safe mid option. And of course, the Sona for Cloud9. I have seen Aphelios with Sona in the bottom lane, but it's not one of the picks that we are used on seeing. But basically, we all know that Sona is considered like a Seraphine 2.0. Or maybe it's the other way around. Seraphine is considered Sona 2.0, but anyway, it has the same application as Seraphine. And as we know, LS was one of the guys last season who implemented the Moonstaff items, and basically he was making a strong case why Seraphine and Soraka and all of these strong enchanters with shielding abilities should be considered strong meta. So Seraphine, Sona, right now Seraphine is not played support, so Sona is a good pick. And then the Cloud9 had the fourth ban here. So they picked Ivern, they blind picked Ivern, because obviously they were prepared for that. They wanted to play him in the mid lane. I was very pleasantly surprised that they went with this option. The only Ivern mid I have seen lately was against Vex in a solo queue game in Korean Grandmaster, but I have to say that I was surprised, because other than this game, I haven't seen a lot of Ivern mid games. But obviously we're talking about LS, so they have definitely screamed this pick. And obviously they caught Golden Guardians by surprise, because Golden Guardians already picked Victor in the mid lane. And again, like I said, the only game I've seen with Ivern mid being successful was against Vex, so against the mage basically. So the fact that Golden Guardians showed up this pick so early, like in the first pick phase, they immediately basically they gave like a confirmation on Cloud9 that yes, they can pick Ivern against Victor, because apparently Ivern can do very well against control mages in the mid lane. And because of that Yuumi pick, obviously I wanted to say also that I disagree with these two bans. You don't you can't know at this point if Gwen is topside. It can be flexed. It can be flexed pick for jungle as well. So the fact that Golden Guardians didn't remove any top lane for Gwen was a bit weird for me. Also, I was surprised as well that Cloud9 removed they banned Zed. I would expect them to maybe ban Jace. I think that by removing Jace, you remove the opportunity to get counterpicked both in the top lane, whether you send Gwen or Gnar, because Jace can counterpick. Well, it's not that he counterpicks Gwen, but at least it's one of the best answers so far against Gwen in the top lane, and it counterpicks Gnar. So I think that here Jace would be a better ban for Cloud9. But nevertheless, Golden Guardians ended their draft with an assassin jungler, because if you remember from Worlds, Yuumi always matches well with assassin junglers like Talon, like Kiana, like Zed. So they planned to pick this, and they wanted to remove as many options for Blabber as possible, but they didn't know that this Gwen was flex picked, and Cloud9 basically could easily flex it on jungle. And they their last blind pick for their solo lanes was this Renekton, which, as you know, LS, me, and many other people who like to analyze the games, we know that Renekton is not so useful in the team fights. And then Cloud9 picked Gnar. The thing is, I know that LS is not favoring Gnar in the top lane, but because they saw Renekton on the other side, they know that Gnar is always a good pick against Renekton, and obviously LS is not like sometimes even if you, let's say, hate some champions, sometimes you just have to listen to your players. So here Summit played a lot of Gnar last year. I think that he had like 14 games with Gnar last season in the LCK, and because they know that they would be up against Renekton, Gnar is always a good pick against Renekton. So even though Gnar is not considered a strong meta pick, a strong top lane pick, against Renekton it's always fine. So very, like, I would say that this was a draft gap for Cloud9, because basically they got away with everything that they wanted, and this is something that I always like to mention. Teams always follow the strong meta picks, and then they basically the draft, let's say, mindset is to follow the strong meta picks, and then to basically allow their players to play their comfort picks. But as I've said during my world reviews, the third factor that differentiates the great teams from the good teams is that you also need to play flexible and unpredicted picks, and that's what Cloud9 did here with the Sona and the Ivern. So that's what separates the great teams from the good teams. Obviously, it's just the first week, the first day, so I'm not saying that Cloud9 is already like a great team, but for sure they have some nice ideas, and if they can implement that for the rest of the split, I think they can do good. Now let's start with the game itself. As I said, it was the fastest game yesterday, so we're gonna see a lot of, as always, like I always like to focus either on the first 10 minutes, and if the game is not decided by then, I like to watch the first 15 minutes. But after that, it's always like the game 80% of the times is already decided. So we're gonna see here, as I'm gonna fast forward it a bit, we're gonna see that Cloud9 used a different vision approach, which was really interesting for me. And okay, so that's the first thing that I want to mention. LS has talked many times that sometimes you don't really need to ward the enemy jungle camps if you don't have this option. So you can use the process of elimination to track the enemy jungler and the enemy team later on in the game. So here, if you watch the minimap, Cloud9 didn't go with the usual ward outside of Raptors, like inside the Raptor camps of Golden Guardians. Instead, they decided to block all of this river path, because as we know, this is a bot lane focused meta. Many junglers start topside and either they cover their bot lane or they gank the enemy bot lane. So with these two wards here, Cloud9 remove the option of Pride Stalker ganking the bot lane. I mean, of course, he can always gank from this side, but they also wanted to make sure that he's not gonna contest the first scuttle, because that's what usually junglers do. If they start topside from here, they like to first take the bot side scuttle and then dive and then make their first gank. So different vision approach from Cloud9, which is really interested. I mean, I really like that. And here we can see how Ivern can do well against mages in the top lane. You just hide inside the brush and then you just throw range attacks. So first levels, he cannot basically get outpushed, let's say. Golden Guardians don't have any information at this point where Blabber started, but with this ward that Licorice placed, they know that since golems are gone, it means that they can assume that Blabber started top side and he's pathing towards bot side. Again, with the process of elimination. I mean, golems are gone, which means that he farmed them, which means that he's bot side. But if you notice here, Golden Guardian, they have nice ward, so they are covered if Blabber tries to make any gank attempts. And with a Yuumi speed boost, they can always go away. They can always escape if Blabber tries anything, basically. And again, this is what I mentioned about Ivern hiding in the brush. I'm not sure if this ward can spot Ivern inside his brush. I guess it does. That's why Blazolife placed it. But either way, we can see that he can do well against control mages. Blabber cannot find anything here, so he's recalling, and both junglers are basically going back to their golems because they both started red and then golems. So golems are gonna be the first jungle cap which is going to respawn for the second rotation. So both of them are there basically. And by Blabber not spotting Pride Stalker in the bot side scuttle, Cloud9 can also assume that Golden Guardian, that Pride Stalker also started on his red side jungle. So I think that both junglers can assume where the enemy is, where the enemy jungler is. I mean, roughly, not, approximately. And we're gonna see the first setup from Cloud9 for the first dragon. Blabber basically, as we see here, he is helping Fudge crashing this wave so that Fudge can recall, get back into the lane first because Ablaze Alive doesn't have teleport, and Berserker and Winsome also reset it first. So now Cloud9 should have the tempo advantage for the first Cloud Drake, and because they saw Pride Stalker here ganking Summit, they definitely know that they can contest the first dragon. As you can see, Fudge reset it, teleported back to the lane. Ablaze Alive couldn't reset. He was trying to push the wave back, but with Ivan being level 6, he basically kept that push into the mid lane. Berserker and Winsome did the same in the bot lane, and the first dragon went to Cloud9 easily as that. Also, Golden Guardians didn't find anything in that gank attempt on Summit. And now we are at the 7th minute of the game, so I'm always curious how teams approach the first Herald setup, which in this case, neither of these teams had a clear Herald setup. So of course, Blabber is topside, which means that he's gonna clear his camps and he can check for Herald. Berserker and Winsome cannot push the wave back to Golden Guardian, so they cannot rotate into that first Herald, and that's why here Cloud9, they don't have a good Herald setup, and they will pay for it first by Summit getting killed from Pride Stalker, and then from Fudge not being able to push back the wave into Ablaze Alive. So first Herald went to Golden Guardians. They didn't have prio in the bot lane to rotate Berserker and Winsome. They didn't have priority in mid lane with Fudge, and with Summit getting killed. I don't know why Blabber started this Herald. And I remember, even though I haven't seen a lot of Cloud9 games during the lock-in, but I remember that ever since last Worlds, Blabber always has this bad tendency. As good as a player as he is, he always has this bad tendency of really forcing enemy jungle camps or heralds, even though his team doesn't have priority. And the next dragon is coming up in less than a minute. I also wanted to comment on this control ward from Cloud9, because this control ward has been placed here ever since Blabber's first reset. So when Blabber made his first reset, he bought this control ward and he placed it in this brush. And usually most teams, they're trying to ward the enemy jungle, like here or here, right? But I like this control ward placement, because basically Summit has also a control ward here. He also had a trinket earlier, but now it expired. But basically, Summit is covered from this control ward. So the only option for Pride Stalker to dive him is from behind. So Cloud9 didn't have the chance to really ward the enemy jungle because they don't have priority. So by placing this control ward here, they are blocking Pride Stalker from moving inside their jungle and diving Summit from behind. The thing is, LS was always an advocate of using wards in a different way, not necessarily to ward the enemy jungle, but to basically track them in a different ways. And yeah, I mean, here's just the speed of here's just the speed of Kiana with Yumi's ultimate. So I never like to comment on mechanical plays. I mean, it was just a good dive from Golden Guardians. Nothing to, it's not that Cloud9 did anything wrong here. I mean, they were trying to freeze the wave close to their turret, so they just died because Yumi and Kiana are very fast in this transition. because they burned a lot of their spells for this Sona kill. Golden Guardians had to retreat here. They don't have priority or tempo for this dragon, so the second Drake goes to Cloud9 as well. The thing is, we didn't get a lot of view on the bottom lane of Cloud9, but basically every time the camera was showing the bot lane, I was always watching Berserker trying to freeze the wave like this. He was always, every time I was watching bottom lane, Berserker was just trying to play on this side of the map. Basically, this spot is not the best to freeze. You need to be here. But at least by playing on this side, he's covering himself. And that's why I mentioned earlier that basically it's not like sometimes you just need to play with your wave and keep yourself safe instead of trying to ward enemy jungle if you don't have this option. And that's why he's keeping this CS advantage over Lost. And even though they crashed Herald in this bottom tier 1, they actually shared the gold as 3. So basically, Lost didn't get a lot of gold from these plates, even though they got all the plates. And here is the other side of the spectrum, where basically earlier Pride Stalker dived Winsome, and he didn't have a lot of he was not given a lot of chances to react. But now the opposite is going to happen. So now Winsome is going to react faster than Pride Stalker. So nice Sona ultimate. He's gonna stun him here. Berserker has the Gravitum weapon, I think, which also stunned him as well. So now this dive went the other way around. And this is the first big team fight, and we're gonna see how valuable it is to have two enchanters, Ivern and Sona, by shielding you all of the time and by building, you know, items like the Moonstone. So here, like, Berserker gets like 5 different shields from Sona and Ivern, constantly getting shielded, and also very good job from Fudge and Winsome to basically synergize their shield, because you need to, like, here is very crucial for them to basically use Sona's shield first, or healing, let's say, then Ivern's shield, and, you know, play their spells, you know, one after the other and not at the same time. And as we know, Renekton is only useful by stunning a target, and then he cannot do a lot of stuff in the teamfights. Sorry for my bad English. And at the same time, Blabber, by picking this Gwen, which doesn't have a lot of counter picks neither in the top lane or in the jungle, he basically 1v3'd the rest of Golden Guardian players. I mean, for a moment he also had the Daisy with him. But yeah, this is why I mentioned earlier that basically Golden Guardians didn't opt to pick any strong blind picks for the blue side. And on the other hand, Cloud9 did that. So that's the first huge win for Cloud9, where we realized how strong and how valuable their comp is by having one of the most broken champions at the moment, which is Gwen, which has a lot of sustain. And then by having Aphelios shielded from two enchanters, from Ivern and Sona, this makes things more difficult from Golden Guardians. You see, he's constantly getting healed, he's constantly getting shielded, and Renekton is not one of the strongest champions in team fighting, so that was the first big win for Cloud9. Triple kill for Blabber. They took the second Drake, they took the Herald, even though it is not shown in the gold difference. We saw that basically Golden Guardians don't have a lot of option of killing either Berserker or Blabber, because basically even if they kill Blabber or Berserker, they can't kill both. That's my point. Like, even if they find the perfect teamfight, they will kill either of them, but never both of them. I mean, here, I don't know what Pride Stalker was doing here with Yuumi. So basically, they see Blabber in the mid lane. Blabber has Herald, so obviously he's planning to crash it in this mid lane turret. And in order, like, the thing is, when the teams match the enemy team which summons the Herald, they can basically stop the crash. But here, Golden Guardians, they didn't try to match Cloud9 players in the mid lane, and they're gonna give this turret for free. And it's like 20 minutes before the third Drake, so Cloud9 are gonna have priority mid and bot. So of course the third dragon is very easily contestable for them, and of course that's what's going to happen. And yeah, I would say that after that point, like, Cloud9 have 3 drakes. The soul is going to be the Ocean Drake. So imagine Ocean Soul healing, and all the shieldings and healings from Ivern and Sona. So that's why I said that even though the gold seems to be even, the value that Cloud9 champions are getting from the shields, from the Ocean Drake, and the healings is like tremendous, and it's gonna have a significant difference in the team fights. And we're gonna see the last decisive team fight, where of course it's gonna be for the Drake Soul. So here Golden Guardians had a nice idea of setting up a trap, because that's what assassin junglers do with Yuumi on top of them. If you remember, Canyon was doing similar stuff with Talon. So the best way to find something to get back into the game and to deny this Drake Soul from Cloud9 was to find some picks like this. So here it's a good idea from Bright Stalker to just wait and find the pick, but unfortunately for him, Gwen has already the Rift Maker and the Nasor's Tooth, along with plated, how's it called? The steel plate boots. I don't remember the full name. So now, and he also has a stopwatch. So basically, Blabber has a lot of sustain. He has his spike items completed. So here, even though it was a good idea from Bright Stalker, they couldn't one-shot him because he's huge. So now Golden Guardians have to retreat. Also, again, Renekton, useless champion in teamfights, because he can only provide the W, and then he's just, running around the teamfight with his ultimate. And even if he survives, he cannot provide a lot to his team. That's why I don't like this champion. And then Golden Guardians also tried to basically come back into this teamfight by trying to find another pick on Summit, because here he is isolated. But again, Summit, he flashed, he's basically gaining a lot. He's buying a lot of time for his team to start the dragon. And also, don't forget, they are chasing him while he's about to transform. So on one hand, Gnar is can be very easily killed and dived when he's on his mini Gnar form. But when he's about to transform, again, he can be killed, but he can buy a lot of time. And that's exactly what Summit did here. So they couldn't find this second pick. The first one was on Blabber, but they couldn't one-shot him. The second one was on Summit, and they couldn't kill him as well. And Cloud9 very easily took this Ocean Soul. So now the game is pretty much over, because like I said, even though it's not shown in the gold, look at the shielding. I mean, you just can't kill Gwen and Aphelios at this point. And like I said, even if Golden Guardians find the pick on Aphelios, they're not gonna be able to kill Gwen. So after that point, I would say that the game was pretty much over, because 3 minutes after this Baron, Cloud9 pushed bot lane, and they managed to finish the game. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised with this draft. I was very satisfied with this different vision approach that Cloud9 took in this game. And yeah, I'm really excited to see them in their next game, especially against the other contenders like 100 Thieves, like Evil Geniuses, and Team Liquid, of course. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the video here. Because my review is gonna be longer than the actual game. So thanks for watching. GG.